Hello everyone, I hope you are all well. It's Friday, finally Friday. And what is Friday? Friday is about looking at some questions in the Summer Wells case. And look, there's so much content out there and we've gone through so many things. And look, some of it is huge speculation. Some of it is, look, massively over-exaggerated stuff perhaps. I get an abundance of stuff that I kind of look at and I can't see what other people are seeing. I try very hard, but I simply can't. I was in a live last night and Aaron Mulwood made a very valid point, and it was about that it gets to the point where we become so sort of invested in finding something that we almost start looking at even the fence posts that they have and seeing whether there's some sort of conspiracy behind it. But look, I do feel that with regards to this case, there are some questions about some things that are big points in this case that haven't really been looked at and thoroughly answered. Now, the first one is regarding the New York trip, when everyone came down, you know, the one where Jose, we better start calling him Jose. We've got new people on the channel now, and if I start saying Gary, they're going to be like, who the fuck is Gary? So look, when all these guys, now we know that Candace and Don had their house for sale up on Ben Hill Road on Facebook. It was on there. They were advertising it for, I believe, $70,000 with the outhouses, the land. It was for sale. And it just so happens that the excuse given for this trip that Jose and Andrew, etc., came into Tennessee on from New York was that there was a house purchase. Someone had bought a house. They were coming down to move into it. They'd even transferred their job. So they were that sure of themselves, certain that this house was theirs, because I'm sure paperwork had been signed and it had all been signed over, because that's the sort of thing that you do before moving your job and everything and your family and your possessions. But anyway, I digress. So what house were they buying? Where exactly was this house? And why exactly did it fall through? If someone was coming all that way, bringing their family, bringing their belongings, bringing everything to move into a house. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know of any situation where you can be that far into a house purchase that when you turn up to move into the house is no longer available. That's pretty extreme. So were they coming down to buy a house? Whose house was it? And why did it fall through? Because I'm going to go on to the point number 2, and that is, did Don really have a $50,000 debt? Now, some people have claimed that that was connected to the mafia. Don the Don. But the only thing that I can think of is that, was this money connected to the house sale? Is that why Jose stayed behind? Was there an issue with, were they looking to buy 110 Ben Hill Road? Because we know there was some other interest in that. We know that Jodie Sue Brown was upset regarding the land sale and the house and them having that house, and she's obviously got the connection to this group. So it's just, when you start looking into situations on their own merit, you kind of think, well, is that, again, a coincidence? A coincidence that a group of people came down to buy a house that just happened to be advertised on Facebook, which a Facebook sale would be the kind of sale that I would think had the potential to fall through, not going through a proper real estate agents over in the UK. You know, I can't see that, but certainly a Facebook sale I could see. So was there money invested? Is that why this group of people came down together? Is that a group of people who had put money together as a group to buy a house? And was Jose there because Candace said, look, we can't do it, we can't go ahead. Donna said no, and then it's kicked off. And that's why Don has jumped in the car, flew back to Tennessee, and why there's been a period of time where Jose has anchored up with them. I'll leave that one with you. But I do feel that there's more to be looked into to that New York trip and the house purchase situation. It could indeed be a complete coincidence, but just something isn't quite sitting right with me. Bearing in mind that not long after this, a little girl went missing. Why was Don so upset on the 14th of June 2021? We know he was upset. Dudley gave a rendition of this situation where Don was distraught. He was inconsolable. I believe he was laying in an old bathtub or something. And, you know, so he was either that upset or Dudley was lying. Now, if Dudley was lying, why would he want people to believe that that actually happened? And if he wasn't, I've got no reason to believe that Dudley lied about it. But so what was Don so upset about? Again, was that just a huge coincidence that he just happened to be that upset and inconsolable the day before Summer went missing? And someone commented the other day, there is no such thing as coincidences. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So what was that all about? Again, this is something that hasn't been drilled down, hasn't been got to the bottom of. We do not know. Next question. Did Grandis rarely confide in someone? And were the details of that conversation accurate? Because if you look back at what she had said that they went back to the house and Hunter came back to the house with them. So after swimming, Hunter went back to the house with Candace. He was there. She also said that Candace had obviously taken Summer off the premises because she was unwell. And that is probably the single most important piece of information in this entire situation. Because it tells you whether what happened at the swimming hole could have indeed been so serious that it ended up in Summer becoming very, very ill and that medical assistance was not sought after. If Candace did indeed take Summer to Don and then came back and left Summer with Don and then Don handled the situation, it might go to say why Candace perhaps feels that Don is involved, because there was people saying, look, Candace and Grandis and Hunter were the people who was with Summer. And they were essentially the last people to see Summer with us. But in a question that was put to her about does she think Don had anything to do with it, she couldn't answer that question. She couldn't answer the question as to whether she believed Don was involved in Summer's disappearance or not. But if she believed that someone was taken off of the property in the time frame that she gave, why would she think that Don was involved? Unless she believes that he arranged an abduction from under her nose. He'd have still had to have known where Candace was, where Grandis was, and taken that risk. As if someone got caught, they'd have just said, well, I'm here because Don told me to. Do you know what I mean? So, but did she indeed take Summer off of that premises to Don? Final question. What was Candace referencing when she stated that she, while talking to a friend, had made the ultimate sacrifice? And after doing so, she expected it to all be over, to be done. Why wouldn't anybody have delved further into that? What does she mean by the ultimate sacrifice? And when you pair that with some of the other little things that have come out of her mouth, and I don't mean the mental blitherings of a lunatic, I mean when she actually sits there and talks and she says things like, I will never do something again that leads harm to my children. Because that wasn't anything more than her giving us an insight into how she felt. She was very drunk, she was under the influence, she was rambling, but she obviously felt at that time that she had somehow influenced what had happened. So I ask you, with these questions, do you guys think that there is still room to keep talking about the Summer Wells case? Because if we don't, the likelihood is we're going to have another Rose Bly on our hands. You know, it is getting to the point where people are now just turning this into a drama, a complete and utter drama. But why doesn't the whole crime niche come together and look at these sort of questions and truly get to the bottom of them? Instead of pointing the fingers and having a go at one another, there are still questions in here that have not been fully answered, to the point where we can turn around and say, do you know what, that has been put to bed. Because that's how cases are solved. Cases are solved by taking every single element of a situation and absolutely going at it until you've exhausted every possible scenario. And only then will you get to the bottom of the truth. So rather than, like I say, bitching to one another, start looking at this case, seeing what questions there are still out there, and let's work together to answer them. And on that note, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a fantastic weekend for those of you who don't watch over the weekend. Take care.